Chairs No Waiting, episode number 607, the eBullet, November 2020. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you the fine folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Check out Weavers and hurry up because they're the 2021 calendar, the wall calendar. They're going fast, so make sure you get you one before they're all gone. And while you're there, you might want to check out the ornaments. There's some neat ornaments you can hang on your tree come Christmas time, or just hang them around the house for fun. And there's also a bunch of Mayberry Man stuff you might enjoy. Folks, just head over to Weavers and check out all the fun items they've got for you over there. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. And I want to thank you all for your support. Tonight's episode is executive produced by Jim Clark. Jim Clark. That's because we're doing the eBullet 2020. I'm Alan Newsom, the host of Two Chairs No Waiting, and it's great to be here with you and Mayberry. Just have some fun and spend some time visiting and talking about the Andy Griffith Show. I mean, that's my favorite. As I was getting ready for the show, I realized that I didn't ever do a podcast episode about the September issue of the eBullet. So hopefully you didn't miss out, guys. Hopefully you read this yourself. I know that's hard to do. I don't like it. I'd rather somebody read to me. It's the truth. I would. But if you didn't check it out, make sure you go back and check out the September issue of the eBullet, because it's just jam-packed with all kinds of fun Mayberry stuff in there. And we're not going to hit on that tonight because we're going to the November edition of the eBullet. So I hope you didn't miss out on any of the fun that Jim Clark, the presiding goober emeritus of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club, put together for us in the eBullet back in September. So make sure you didn't miss out. We're also going to hear the final part of This Week in Mayberry History's reports on No Time for Sergeant. This is part 6 of Randy's report. So you've got that to look forward to. So without any more just blathering around from me, let's hear from the VW Boys with some background music. That's Mockingbird. Thank you, VW Boys. You can check them out at vwboys.com. Tim White and the boys. And so that's our background music as we head over to check out the eBullet 20 from November 2020. This is our volume 20, issue number 6. Now you can check all these out. They're all available for free. And I definitely want to encourage you to head over there and go to imayberry.com. The eBullet link is right at the top of the page. It's almost impossible to miss it. So head up there and you'll see it, and it'll take you right to the eBullet. You can subscribe, and if you subscribe, you'll get notifications in your email inbox when every issue comes out. You don't have to wait on me to read it for you. And if I don't read one like I did in September, you won't miss it. So make sure you do that. So let's go and check out some of the great stuff that Jim Clark has in store for us this week. Now, this month, I should say, of November. This is the online newsletter of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. It says, welcome to the November eBullet, the 6th and final issue of this 60th anniversary year of the Andy Griffith Show. On the heels of Mayberry Days in late September, and then the milestone October 3rd anniversary of the Andy Griffith Show, there has been a lot to celebrate. Andy Griffith Show related subjects are the cover story for at least 4 magazines back in October. They were Closer, the magazine, Carolina Country, Bluegrass, and Alabama Living all featured stuff about the Andy Griffith Show. And you can read 3 of the stories online. The Carolina Country, it's about Mount Airy and Mayberry Days. Bluegrass Unlimited, it's about Rodney Dillard and the Dillards. And Alabama Living is about the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club's Alan Floyd Newsom. That's me. Oh, I made the cover of a magazine. And you can go and read the story for yourself. All those nice stories. It's great. As Barney famously said, during our lifetime, we travel many roads. Now is a good time for all of us to be happy and grateful that so many roads and channels and streaming services still lead to Mayberry. Isn't that right? So Floyd's Barbershop Bulletin Board. Now, this is the event calendar for the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. Is Floyd's Barbershop Bulletin Board and event calendar. The Andy Griffith Museum that features Emmett Forrest monumental collection of Andy Griffith Show artifact is open, just so you know, in Mount Airy. But please note, there are some rules, and I'm not going to read them to you. It's in North Carolina in Mount Airy, the Andy Griffith Museum. So you'll need to check on the rules yourself before you go, depending on where it is. But currently, North Carolina is in phase 3 of the pandemic protocols. Yeah, we're still dealing with that. If you're listening to this years from now, it was COVID-19, kids. And it's stopped us from doing almost everything this year. At least it feels like it. Only 25 visitors can be in there at a time. But that's, you can prepare for that. And you got to wear a mask. You got to wearing gloves if you're planning on touching anything. Okay, so you got to wear them. If you don't bring a mask, they'll sell you one for $5.35. So if you want an official Andy Griffith Museum mask, that's how you get one. Head over there and check it out. You can go to andygriffithmuseum.org, and there's a phone number as well, but you can go there to find it. I trust you can go to the website, so that's what I'm going to give you. So here's a couple of events that are already on the calendar for 2021. September the 20th through the 26th is the 32nd annual Mayberry Days in Mount Airy. The special guests so far confirmed include Betty Lynn, that's Thelma Lou, of course, and Rodney Dillard, the guitar playing Darling Boy. And tickets are available. You can go and start checking them out. There's going to also be a Colin Ray concert on September the 18th, the Saturday before Mayberry Day. So if you want to make a long week out of it, you can go and see Colin Ray on that Saturday and then just stay the rest of the week through Mayberry Days. Wouldn't that be awesome? T. Graham Brown, the Doug Dillard tribute show by the Dillards featuring Rodney Dillard will be going on during Mayberry Days, and the golf tournament and Professor Brower's lecture. Tim White and Troublesome Hollow will be there and there's just all kinds of stuff that will be going on during Mayberry Days. So go and check it out if you're interested in going, because, make plans to go. I know you've been sitting at home long enough. It's time to get out and do stuff. Surely by next September, we'll all be okay. Much more to be announced, but for now, that's basically the confirmed acts. It'll be happening in Mayberry Days on September 20th through the 26th, or head over on the 18th and catch Colin Ray. Hey, there's a good chance to have a great week in Mount Airy. Also, coming up in 2021, that's already on the calendar, is Halloween, October 31st through November the 6th. They're going to have Clint Howard as the special guest on the Cruise to Mayberry 15. It was postponed, this year. But with a few tweaks from the original dates in 2020, basically it's going to be the same cruise. Cruise will be aboard the Carnival Freedom that'll be departing out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and it'll travel the Eastern Caribbean. And anyway, you can go and check it out. Go check out the eBullet. Go to imayberry.com, click on the eBullet link, and you'll be able to find this information for yourself. So we got a little bit of news of cast and crew. So Ron Howard, y'all know him? You remember him? That's Opie. Ron Howard has been actively promoting Building Paradise, his National Geographic documentary about the aftermath of the 2018 fires around Paradise, California. The film, all the more poignant given this year's wildlife crisis in the West, opened in select socially distanced theaters in July and premiered commercial-free on Nat Geo channel on November the 8th. It's been receiving universally excellent reviews, so you can go and check that out. Ron's much-anticipated Hillbilly Elegy is also scheduled for release in select theaters in November and on Netflix on November the 24th. The film starring Amy Adams, Glenn Close, and Andy Griffith Show alum Bo Hopkins is already being mentioned as an Oscar contender. So there's a trailer available. If you go to the eBullet, you'll be able to click a link that'll take you to watch the trailer. Ron and Brian Grazer will serve as executive producers of an Imagine Documentaries production of The Supermodels, a docu-series for Apple TV that'll be directed by Oscar winner Barbara Koppel and will feature the careers of Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Evangelista, and Christy Turlington. I don't get Apple TV. Maybe I'll have to get that. Ron and most of the surviving cast, the core cast of Happy Days, reunited to share stories and do a Q&A session for a Wisconsin political fundraiser back in October. Ron also reports that his wife, Cheryl, with whom Ron recently celebrated their 50th anniversary of their first date, and daughter Paige have both have thankfully recovered well from COVID-19 earlier this year. So that's great. That's good news that they're all well. Betty Lynn Thelma Lou continues to stay close to home in Mount Airy. She had thought about at least riding around in a car to observe the festivities and wave at fans during Mayberry days, but ultimately decided that doing that wouldn't be prudent or particularly satisfying for anybody. Like her legions of fans, Betty can't wait until it's safe again for her to resume her monthly meet and greet sessions and sign autographs at the Andy Griffith Museum. Maggie Peterson, Mancuso, Charlene Darlin herself, is progressing well with her patient recovery from recent surgeries. She reports that she's seeing encouraging results with her physical therapy. Maggie's GoFundMe page, which Maggie's family set up to help with some of Maggie's expenses and uncovered medical expenses, is still active. And Maggie is extremely grateful for all of the kind donations that she has received. I'll give you an update on that after this is over. Rodney Dillard, the guitar-playing Darlin boy, hasn't been able to be on the road this year, but it hasn't stopped his new Dillard's album, Old Road New Again, available at Weaver's, from tearing up the bluegrass charts since its digital release in August and CD release in September. And yes, Weaver's is carrying the CD and others Dillard's music as well, so go check it out. We've heard the word Grammy come up among music industry insiders and reviewers talking about Rodney's new CD. Good. Little birdie must be telling him things. Elizabeth Mcrae, one of the Andy Griffith Show episodes that she was on, the one, and of course she was Luann Poovey on Gomer Pyle USMC, and so Elizabeth Mcrae and Ronnie Shell, who did 2 Andy Griffith Show episodes and was Duke Slater on Gomer Pyle, recently reconnected by phone. Both have been doing their best to stay safe during the pandemic, and there's a nice story linked to from the Bullet about their conversation. So definitely, if you'd like to go and read more about that, head over to the eBullet and click on the link to a nice story about their telephone reunion. We're very sad to report that Jeannie Berry, the daughter of Jackie Joseph, Romina, and the late Ken Berry, Sam Jones, she passed away, Jeannie Berry did, of natural causes on September the 21st at the age of 55. And there's a link to the obituary there in the eBullet as well. All hearts in Mayberry continue to go out to Jackie and all of Jenny's family. So, all right. So, Hollywood reels in Mayberry. The Mayberry Man movie, written and directed by Stark Howell and produced by Court Howell, both sons of Hoke Howell, a.k.a. Mayberry's Dud Wash, and Greg Shell, son of Ronnie Shell, filmed in Indiana for the first half of September. Karen Knotts, the daughter of Don Knotts, joined the large contingent of Mayberry tribute artists, both familiar and new faces, for the initial days of filming, which included Mayberry Fest Parade in the town of Danville on Labor Day. Production then shifted to North Carolina, Mount Airy in the vicinity, to wrap up principal photography in the latter part of September. Some additional filming is being done in Los Angeles that just wrapped up over this past weekend. So it was really, really fun event. Mayberry Man is still on track for at least initial screenings early next spring. A premiere is tentatively planned for Danville's Mayberry in the Midwest Festival in May. Followed, the producers hope, by eventual availability through one or more leading streaming services, and of course DVD as well. In other Mayberry-related movie news, The Mayberry Effect, a documentary by director and Andy Griffith Show Rewatchers Club member Chris Hudson, recently was accepted for its 25th Film Festival of 2020. The film has won numerous festival awards, and plans are in the works for wider distribution early in 2021. All right. Hey, just there's also a photo in the eBullet that you would like to see. The real wheels are real, the real deal. It's what it's titled. It says the actual vehicle that was used as Barney's Edsel in The Return of Barney Fife, that's episode number 176, made its own return to Mayberry as part of the Mayberry Man parade scene filmed in Mount Airy in September. Yeah, so it's really nice. It was a great day getting to that in there, and that's the actual car. So the actual car that Don drove in that episode, Return of Barney Fife, is in the Mayberry Man movie. At least that's what I was told. That's what everybody's told. So anyway, it's pretty cool. So check it out. So we got a little bit of chapter news. We haven't had any chapter news since September's eBullet, but we're holding our new chapters. We haven't had any new chapters since September, but we're holding our current total of 1,468 chapters founded since the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club began in 1979. Starting new chapters easy. So the information about how to do it is in the eBullet. So if you'd like to start a new chapter of the Andy Griffith Show, head over there and check it out, of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. So they got some good pictures from the let's see, I can't say it. You were on a date. Oh, that's the name of the chapter. One of our newest chapters is represented here by Cody Sloan and Thomas Allison. The chapter name was You Were on a Date. You Weren't Taking Medicine, from Piedmont, South Carolina. They celebrated the 60th anniversary of the Andy Griffith Show with their first official gathering on the 3rd of October, and they cooked it out and watched The New Housekeeper. That's great. So folks, there's all kinds of great new stuff going on over at Weavers, and that information is also in the eBullet. The 2021 wall calendar that I mentioned to you earlier. There are Mayberry Christmas ornaments that you'll want to go and check out, along with other Christmas related items. There's sweatshirts. There's Aunt Bee's Mayberry Cookbook, the 60th anniversary edition. You might want to go and check that out. There's Gomer Says Hey, a brand new book that we've got there at Weavers. And of course, from over at Foley's Market section of Weavers. And yes, if you go to foleysmarket.com, it actually takes you to the Foley's Market section. But they have all kinds of Mayberry Finest brand stuff. And pickles is one of the things. Just this past weekend was National Pickle Day. And hopefully you were able to celebrate with some of Mayberry's finest good old store-bought pickles, not Aunt Bee's homemade pickles. So go and check out some of the fun stuff on there. Coming real soon, Randy Turner, who we'll be hearing from in just a few minutes, his 2021 edition of the Mayberry Day-by-Day Flipbook Calendar will be hitting Weavers, and so you'll be able to order those, along with his Mayberry's first books. They'll be hitting Weavers as well. Yeah, we got all kinds of cool stuff, and we just got, just so you'll know, at Weavers, this is a commercial, just got back in stock the book by Joey Fan about the Mayberry Bible study stuff. So definitely finding the way back to Mayberry, you might want to go check those out. Those are in very short supply. They're short supply, so check those out. All right, so we got some chapter news. This is our actual chapter news. Most of the chapters were able to gather for the 60th anniversary celebrations, but they did so carefully. The smaller groups than normal, and just a few people got together. Few chapters found safe ways to gather in larger groups, including a few did. Blood Brothers, they got together, and there's several of the folks that they were able to visit together. Members of the Mayberry chapter in Knoxville, Tennessee, they attended Mayberry Days and helped out as usual with the Chester Jones checkers competition. The group celebrated Jackie Joseph's birthday last week, and they participated in the Carnes Christmas Parade, or will be, in early December. So that's pretty good. So the rest of the information, or rest of the chapter news updates, are basically chapter activities around Mayberry Days in Mount Airy, North Carolina. So the Mayberry Days report says, though it was scaled back in order to follow North Carolina's pandemic protocols, this year's Mayberry Days was, by all accounts, a big success. The 31st annual festival provided all who attended a safe and enjoyable way to gather with fellow Mayberry fans and celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Andy Griffith Show. And there's some great photos there on the site, including our Mayberry Days trivia champion. So if you played last week, right there's Jim Sherrill. You'll be able to see him with Miss Mayberry between him and the runner-up, Mike Jones. So you'll be able to see them pictured there. And there are photos of all kinds of fun stuff that happened during the Mayberry Days event. I encourage you to head over and check it out. I want to congratulate my buddy Eric Lowry, who is our mayor, the tribute artist for us. He received the Mayberry Friendship Award that's sponsored by the Andy Griffith Show, Real Nurtures Club's Hearty Eating Men and Beautiful Delicate Women chapter. And it was presented to Eric just for all the stuff he does to help keep just Mayberry alive, and just for being a friend of Mayberry. So congratulations to Eric for that. The prestigious Jim Schwanke Memorial Award was presented to Dewey Lamb of the Shakedown chapter in Laurinburg, North Carolina. In addition to being the leader of this very active chapter, Dewey has been extraordinarily generous with his time and talents in creating many popular items for various Mayberry fundraisers, and most notably the Mayberry Days Who's Been Messing Up the Bulletin Board auction for many years. So we want to thank Dewey and congratulate him for this award. It's called the Jim Schwanke Memorial Award in honor of Jim Schwanke, who was the founder of the Mayberry Texans chapter in Houston. And Jim Schwanke was a wonderful man, great friend, and well deserved. So there's other information in there. Go and check out the eBullet. I believe that's about everything that we've got. There's a little bit of information in there about the podcast being the 600th episode of the Two Chairs No Waiting. So thanks to that. And just go and check it out if you get a chance. A link will be in our show notes. And we'll leave it at that. There's a lot more information in there. And if you didn't check out the September issue of the eBullet, make sure you go and do that as well. Now, I promised you an update on Maggie Peterson. So let's go and I'll give you that. Just today, as I'm recording this, there was an update that came out on Maggie's GoFundMe page. It's called Maggie Charlene Darling Peterson Needs Help. And an update came out today from her nephew, Ben. And he says, "Dear friends and families, we wanted to share a brief update on Maggie. Although she has almost completely healed from her recent surgeries, she has lost most of the range of motion in her arms, which has compromised her ability to safely take care of herself and Gus. Through your tremendously generous and generosity and support, we have been providing in-home care for her and Gus over the last year, which has allowed Maggie time to heal physically and mentally. But this is not a financially sustainable option for long-term care of Maggie and Gus. Therefore, we are moving Maggie and Gus into an assisted living facility in Las Vegas area in December. The facility is well run, clean, comfortable, and will provide the assisted care that Maggie and Gus need going forward. We believe the facility will provide the best living environment for Maggie and Gus, given their current medical needs. As you can understand, Maggie is anxious about this next step, and the decision to move from the house Gus and she have shared for nearly 50 years has been hard. We want to thank you for not only your generosity, but also your thoughts and prayers, which has sustained Maggie and provided her with strength to make this tough decision. The love and support from her family, friends, and fans has been so important for Maggie. And she wants all of you to know that from the bottom of her heart, thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's from Ben. He posted that. So if you'd like to donate, you can still do so. The link will be in the show note and has been for quite some time. So if you head over to twochairsnowaiting.com, scroll down a little bit and look for the links in the show notes. You'll find a link to be able to get to Maggie's page, and you can donate and help our darling person if you have an opportunity to do so. So Maggie, you are in our thoughts and prayers, and we will definitely keep you there. All right, guys, let's go over now and hear from Randy Turner with This Week in Mayberry History. And here he comes. There he is.
Welcome to This Week in Mayberry History, a report by special correspondent Randy Turner of the Gomer and Cooper Pyle Comic Book Literary Guild of the Mayberry Historical Society.
Continuing our celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Andy Griffith Show's debut, this week I will wrap up my discussion of how No Time for Sergeants led to Andy Griffith being so nationally well known. Over the past several weeks, I've discussed how Andy discovered the novel and how this led him to win the part of Will Stockdale in the TV version, which led to his being cast in the Broadway version. Andy Griffith was certainly broadly known to many after his comedy monologue record success and his appearance in Sergeants in the U.S. Steel Hour. Broadway, by definition, has a more limited reach, but it was his starring role as Will Stockdale in the movie version that made him into a personality widely known across the entire country. Andy's performance on Broadway was praised. In fact, he even received a Tony Award nomination, and the play was an enormous hit, ultimately running for nearly 2 years before closing on September the 14th, 1957, after 796 performances. However, Andy did not stay with the show through its entire run. He left at the end of July 1956, took a month's vacation, then began filming the starring role of Lonesome Rhodes in the dramatic film A Face in the Crowd. The movie was directed by Elia Kazan, who had directed A Streetcar Named Desire, East of Eden, and On the Waterfront, among others, having won the Academy Award for the latter. It may speak to how well-known Andy was to the broad public to know that Kazan always tried to work with relatively unknown actors. In addition to Andy, he gave Lee Remick, Warren Beatty, James Dean, Jack Palance, and others their first major movie roles. Andy received solid reviews for his film debut, but A Face in the Crowd, while certainly not a flop, was also not a hit, and received decidedly mixed reviews, though Andy's performance was praised widely. As time has passed, the film has come to be viewed as a classic, but it was not the movie to bring Andy to broad acclaim. No, that movie was the filmed version of the story that had given him his start, No Time for Sergeants. Released May the 29th, 1958, the movie version is quite faithful to the Broadway version. However, it did not use the framing sequence of Will speaking at a Colville, Georgia meeting. In the play, several of the parts were doubled, meaning they were played by the same actor. While Don Knotts had played a local preacher in the opening scene of the play, he had also played the colonel in charge of testing for manual dexterity, a role he reprised for the film. In that scene, the soldiers going through classification were given 2 metal rings that each had a small gap that allowed them to be put together when slid in a particular fashion. When Will was told to put the rings together, he did so with brute strength, bending one of the rings open and then tying it to the other. The movie also differs from the play in that the eyesight gag returns to Will again meeting a female officer, though in the film she is shapely rather than the matronly officer seen in the televised version. As a reminder, in the book and the Broadway play, it was a black officer Will had seen, with the gag being that Sergeant King is convinced Will has failed his eyesight test since he is obviously colorblind. And unlike the TV version, the movie version kept the gag from the book and Broadway versions of the toilet seats coming to attention. The film was an enormous hit, and it was the 4th highest grossing movie of the year, bringing in $7.5 million, and those were 1958 dollars. As a result, when Griffith appeared in the pilot episode for what would become The Andy Griffith Show, he was then a household name. But more importantly for Mayberry fans, the friendship between Andy Griffith and Don Knotts, formed in the Broadway version of the play and continued in the film, was invaluable. It led to Don telephoning his old friend the day after the pilot aired and suggesting that Sheriff Andy Taylor needed a deputy. But for their meeting in No Time for Sergeants, the Mayberry so many love would not have been the same. Well, that's it for this week, and that's it for this series. As always, thanks for listening, and remember to take care of yourself, watch out for one another, and take Andy's advice, and go out there and act like somebody.
Wow, thank you, Randy. And wow, what a great series of reports he's done on No Time for Sergeants. If you want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the fun things that Randy digs up around the internet, send him an email at turnersgrade@gmail.com, turnersgrade@gmail.com, and he'll make sure you don't miss out on any of the fun stuff he's doing around Mayberry. So thank you, Randy. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed the eBullet. And we'll, go and subscribe to the eBullet yourself. It's a great thing to have. Definitely something you want to do. I always feel like there's something I'm missing out. So the other thing I want to mention about Randy, he also does the Andy Griffith Show Ambassadors magazine. And the link is in my show notes about how to get to that. So you can definitely go and check that out, and I'm making sure it's in there. And you can go check out how to get it. And it's a nice little magazine. And this month, in the fall 2020 issue, it has Floyd on it. Yeah, it's a nice picture. So I like that. And it has a Weaver's ad in there too. Weaver's department store. So that's good. So go and check that out as part of Randy's. Check out our show notes if you don't have it. And we'll make sure we get you that. You can go to mayberrybooks.com and find it. Mayberrybooks.com should help you find that. All right, guys, that is all I've got for you this episode. It is great to have spent some time here in Mayberry with you. I'd love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415, or you can email me at floyd@imayberry.com. I would love to hear from you. And until next time, y'all have a great Mayberry week, and we'll see you back here on Two Chairs.